There he goes again. So I don't know where he actually wants to go. At least we're getting a good view. Hello, boy. You were giving us the run around this morning. He's now heading back to where he came from, and I think he's having a look around at something. Looks like he might even be stalking maybe a little scrub here. No, this was a scrub here that just ran away from him. There's also some nyalas that are very close to him. They're not far at all. I don't know if he's even seen them yet, but he's now lying down and having a little look. I'm going to just go back a little bit for you, folk, just so that we can try and get at least some semblance of a view of him. Let's try and head back this way. Right, now I'm going to try and head back, and while I do, I believe that Sydney can also see him from where he is.
Look at that. Now I managed to get a very better visual of Hosana. You can see Hosana is looking right at us, sitting there. This is beautiful. He's trying to listen to Abby, trying to communicate with me at the moment. Not worried about anything. So this cat has been hunting this morning, so we just got him trying to hunt. We did not disturb the hunt at all, as we were invited by the animals who saw him already. And repeat, FC. Look at that. Thank you very, very much for all those kind of messages. We are so very happy to find him. A sighting like this on a guided walk is never easy. Look at that, very much relaxed, not worried by a nice and open area. I can see I can hear even some of the animals. The sounds like the buffaloes. I didn't copy that. If you can repeat, FC. This is a beautiful visual of Hosana on a guided walk. This is something very much rare, as we normally see sightings like this from a game drive. So now let's go back to Tristan, who is also by the very same sighting. What I'm going to do now is I'll be heading towards the pen, because I can hear some other animals sounding like buffaloes coming towards this direction, and lions still roaring behind them. Maybe we might see some other interesting things taking place there.
Well, be safe, Sydney. You don't want to get caught in between lions and buffalo. That's never an ideal place to be. So hopefully Sydney will be able to get himself into a safe place and then be able to spot something that's going on. But maybe those lions are hunting buffalo. It sounded like there were lots of oxpeckers just north on Mvubu. When I first went out, I could hear the oxpeckers calling, and then the lions kind of calling in that area could be an indicative sign that maybe the lions are trying to chase those buffaloes around. But so far it's difficult to know for sure whether or not they are there. Like I said, the guys kind of say that they can hear the lions sort of north of us. Now, you would have seen on the FLIR how much easier it is to spot Hosana in these thickets than it is with normal. I mean, now we've got a bit of sunlight so you can see, but would this have been in the night time, we would have really struggled to have been able to actually see him. And so the FLIR really does help with just kind of isolating him out of his environment and being able to pick him up. But Hosana must have been playing games with us this morning. He must have been right there, and we just kind of missed him. So our initial kind of plan to check Galago Pan was the right one. It just got a bit kind of complicated after a while, and I just wonder what female keeps coming around here. Maybe it's Tundi and Tlalamba that are hanging around, because their tracks are also absolutely everywhere in this area, and so I have a funny feeling that it is them. Now, we don't only have we've got one star, which is obviously Hosana. He is really the star of the show, but the other star of the show is also sitting on my left-hand side at the moment. I've just spotted him from very close by. He's James R.A. Hendry, who's now going to try and escape our view. He's much like Hosana. He's being elusive. He's gone back into his tent, so that's where James is. He was just standing right there at one point and has now decided to walk inside there, so probably because he doesn't want to disturb Hosana in any way. But Can you see him on the floor? Is he a warm figure inside the tent? No, we can't see anything either. So there he comes. There he comes. Hello, James. Good morning. There he is, waving to all of you. I don't know what it is. I keep spying on James in the tent, which is, I suppose, not ideal. But anyway, we have got 2 stars in one sighting. So there we go. This is a A-list sighting for Juma. We've got Hosana, who has done everything during the TV shows, and well, James too. Now you can see it's not easy to see this cat anymore. He's really kind of dropped his head down. I think if I go forward for you, it might be a little bit better. It's like one little gap here that we've got. There we go. A little more. Now I don't have brakes, so it's difficult to actually get the exact spot. You kind of have to stand on the brakes in order to be able to actually get them. But there we go. You can see now he's going to go to sleep in the worst possible place. Hosana, I think it's time you go back to your pan, buddy. Now, he doesn't look like he's up for much this morning. I suppose he's had a busy morning already. There's been leopards all around. And what interests me is that he was obviously found and seen this morning, and his tracks were all over. But James said he very clearly heard a leopard calling. Now, a leopard calling and him calling is an interesting thing, because I've yet to hear Hosana call. And so if it's him that is actually making noise, both yesterday morning and this morning, that's a major step for him, and that's asking for trouble. So I don't know if maybe it's the female that's calling. It could be the Tandi that's maybe scent marking and calling and kind of in the area. It could also be, Shadulu or Tingana, but we just haven't found tracks for either of them really close to where Hosana is to give that impression. Unless, of course, he just bumped into Tandi and Kalamba, and Tingana also came along and called, and that's why we kind of just found him here and the rest of the tracks look like they're going somewhere else. I don't know. It really is quite interesting to see. I wonder what went on in the last 2 nights, because there's just been leopard activity around Gallagher Pan like crazy. I wonder if there isn't a kill somewhere there that we've just kind of missed out in some way. So no, that's also a very variable question. In females, generally we start to see them mating for the first time around 3.5 to 4 years old, and having their first litters. With males, it can be very variable. There's the white dam male down in the south of the Sabi Sands. He was mating at 3 years old, so he was very, very young, whereas most male leopards will only really start to mate at around 5, 6. That's when they kind of start getting their mating right. So anyway, from 3 to, all the way up to the older leopards that get their territories much later. So somebody like Kukumuri, who's 5, 6 years old, he'll be able to, he's just gotten secured a territory and will be mating now. So generally anywhere between there. So let's say 3 and 6 would be the average for a male. And then, like I say, females much earlier. They come into an estrus quite quickly. There's some females that will be much earlier too. So Karula had her first litter quite young, as far as I understand it. She was, I think, just close to 3 years old when she had her first one, which gives you an indication of how it just depends on the individual itself. Now, Hosana Cat, are you tired? I'm sure you're tired. You had another busy day yesterday. You had... Yes. Zanani, that's exactly what's happened, is that he's given us the runaround and then decided now to sleep, which is, I suppose, how it goes. I was hoping he'd be a little bit more active to move out of the section that we're in, because it really is a horrible area that makes it very difficult to be able to actually negotiate and to actually even get a clear view of him. So I was hoping that he was going to walk from here down towards the pan and kind of find himself a little spot down there to go and sit. He's obviously at the pan. It's much easier to actually watch him, and all of you get to watch him throughout the day. I'm sure he's going to end up there. I have no doubt at some point today we'll see Hosana milling about at the pan itself. But it would have been nice if he had just been a little more active this morning than what he currently is right now. So Greg, at any time, it doesn't really matter for them. Mating is mating, and any chance they get, they will do it as much as they can and as often as they can. And so it doesn't matter if it's nighttime or daytime. It really kind of is irrelevant to them. They will, it's such a short period that the female's in estrus that the male will go after her and they'll mate as much as they can. I mean, she'll force the male more than he'll force the issue. And so in the height of mating, it doesn't matter, like I say, if it's day or night, they'll just mate as much as they can to try and ensure that they get the female pregnant, or the female gets pregnant. It's interesting because you often find with younger males when they mate that for the first time that they actually don't produce cubs for a while. And Hukamuri is probably a good example of that, is he's just starting to come into a dominance and he's starting to mate, and we've seen him mating a lot with Shadulu and Tiani, yet neither of them seem to be pregnant at this stage. It will happen eventually. I don't think he's sterile. It's just quite common to see with young males that it takes a few kind of times and a few tries until they actually successfully are able to impregnate the females. Hosana still looks at least alert. So, I mean, hopefully there's going to be something that's going to move, and that's going to kind of get him going and get him moving and doing his thing and being able to actually try and kind of go out a little bit. There was, like I say, nyalas around, there was impalas about, so there's lots of different little animals that are moving in this area that should theoretically get his attention. We know he can't resist going hunting, and I suppose his favorite friend James is also here, so maybe he'll go visit James in the tent. It'd be quite funny if he walked up to the tent. I would have a good chuckle. I'm sure James wouldn't, but it would be quite interesting to see. Right, well, we'll keep sitting with Hosana and see what he's up to and whether or not he's actually going to move for us. In the meantime, let's send you over to Sydney, who seems to have found something else now on walk.